called the Scottish claymore. The idea is you take a Scottish claymore and you cut through the suit of armour to kill the man. The top part of the sword was often razor sharp. The lower part here, known as the ricardo, was blunt. And the reason it was blunt was if someone tried to hit you with a sword similar to this, you could grip a hold off the blade and use it almost like a stick in what we call a normal sword bear, that would be dragging on the ground as you walked along. And you couldn't simply pop it onto your shoulder like this and walk down the high street of Edinburgh. Someone could talk to you from behind you, you'd chop some poor passerby. It's a large piece of leather that slipped over the blade with a rope that would go around. You'd put the sword into the baldric and you wore it on your back with the blade pointing down. If you were attacked, you have to take it off your back, take it out of the scabbard before you could use it. The basket broadsword. The round basket protects your hand. There's a very small back guard to stop a blade slipping down onto your wrist. And then you've got these two lugs on the front. Now they're not for decoration. If you can imagine someone else's sword sliding down your blade, if you're able to trap it in between you, you could twist, break, or disarm it. The basket not only protected your hand, it meant you could punch him on the nose in a tight fight. When a Highlander went into battle, he would have used this sword with two other main weapons. The targe was often covered in leather, heavily studded, and sometimes with a spike that went into the centre. It was carried on your back by means of a strap. When you went into battle, it slipped onto your arm. Now behind the targe, the Highlander carried a knife, known as a dirk. That he held in the hand, hidden behind the shield, with the bottom end sticking out so you can cut towards your opponent's body in battle. As he came rushing towards you, he would try to push you off balance first with the shield. Then he'd try to cut towards your body with his knife, and finally he would slice you down the middle with the sword. It's a brown best musket. It's about 11 pounds 2 ounces in weight. It's a very heavy gun to carry around. The easiest thing to be able to load and fire this was to ask you to make cartridges up. Now the cartridge was roughly about this size and shape. In the top would be the lead bullet, the bottom would be filled with gunpowder. The soldier would have been able to take the cartridge, bite the end of it, and open this bit at the front here called the flash pan. Some of you might have heard of a phrase called a flash in the pan, if you have, this is where it came from. You put the gunpowder into the flash pan and close that down. That keeps the powder trapped in there. You then put the rest of the cartridge down the barrel. Now you would have to use this thing in the front, which is known as a ram bullet. And the reason for that is to push the cartridge all the way down to the very, very bottom. Because at the very bottom of the barrel is a tiny wee hole, which you'll understand about in a moment. You then pop that back in there. Then all you have to do is pull back the hammer and squeeze the trigger. This is known as a Scottish Doon pistol. Now they made them in the town of Doon near Stirling. This is made entirely of metal. It doesn't have a wooden handle. How this came about was the blacksmith in the town of Doon near Stirling used to collect old nails. And one day he decides to melt those nails down and make something from them. He created the wonderful pistol you see here. The problem was that when he finished making it, he thought, that's too heavy, no one will buy that. So he put it on the wall of his shop and he forgot all about it. So one day a clan chief was coming through the town of Doon and his horse threw a shoe. While the blacksmith was putting a shoe on the horse, the chief noticed the pistol, took it from the display and bought it from the man. He then requested him to make 3 more for his sons. And within a few years, all the Highlanders were carrying Scottish Doon pistols.